Most men talk their way into the friend zone, then sit there scratching their heads wondering why she never feels that pull. You have been in that spot before, sitting across from a woman who seems to have everything going for her. The date is fine, the conversation flows smoothly, she laughs at your jokes, but the vibe stays safe. You compliment her, you play it polite, you try to be respectful, and she still leaves with a quick hug and a text me later that goes absolutely nowhere. You walk away feeling like you did everything right, yet the spark never catches and you cannot figure out what went wrong. That is not bad luck. That is a missing skill. Women do not open up when you chase approval. They open up when you create tension without being crude, when you lead the emotional frame without trying to dominate it. Teasing done right is not childish. It is controlled contrast. It is a playful pressure that makes her feel seen, challenged, and slightly curious about what you are capable of. In this video, I am going to show you 10 mature ways to tease a woman so her guard drops and her desire rises naturally. No insults, no manipulation, no desperate lines, just calm confidence, timing, and the kind of masculine presence that makes her lean in instead of lean back. I am here to wake you up, not to comfort you. Stay with me, because one of these switches changes everything once you understand it. Let us get into the first one. The tease that makes her lean in is not sarcasm, not insults, and not cheap jokes. It is controlled warmth mixed with challenge. It tells her you see her, but you are not chasing her. That contrast pulls her forward. Here is how it plays out in real life. Mark is 55, living in Seattle, recently divorced, thoughtful and calm. He meets Julia, 51, confident, stylish, and emotionally sharp. On their first date, Mark does not shower her with praise. When Julia mentions she is always early because she hates waiting, Mark smiles and says, "You do not look like someone who likes to wait. You look like someone who expects the room to adjust." He says it lightly, then pauses. Julia laughs, then leans closer. That pause is the tease. It invites her in. Most men miss this because they confuse teasing with talking more. The real tease uses fewer words and better timing. You say something true with a playful edge, then you stop. You let her respond. That space is where attraction grows. When you keep talking, you steal the tension. The Stoics understood this principle without calling it teasing. Epictetus observed that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, and that reason is restraint. When you restrain the urge to impress, you signal confidence. Confidence is felt before it is understood. A woman feels it in your pacing, your silence, and your comfort with letting a moment breathe. Back to Mark. Later in the date, Julia asks what he is looking for. Instead of delivering a speech, he says, "I am curious where tonight goes." Then he changes the subject. Julia feels a flicker of uncertainty, not anxiety, curiosity. Her body shifts toward him. She wants to know more. That is the lean in. Here is the rule. Teasing that works always respects her dignity while challenging her self-image. You are not trying to win points. You are inviting play. A gentle call-out, a calm smile, a relaxed pause. That combination keeps her engaged without feeling pressured. This tease also shows boundaries. When you tease lightly, you show you are not afraid of her reaction. You are grounded. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the mind should remain unconquered by events. When you are unconquered by approval-seeking, she relaxes. Relaxation opens desire. Notice what Mark did not do. He did not neg her. He did not mock her. He did not rush to explain himself. He stayed present and playful. Julia leaned in because she felt both seen and challenged. That dual signal is rare. If you want to practice this, start small. Observe something real. Say it simply. Smile. Stop talking. Let the moment work. Teasing is not performance. It is presence with edge. Teasing works because it creates movement without pressure. It turns conversation into a dance instead of an interview. When you lead with calm curiosity, she follows with interest. When you hold silence confidently, she fills it emotionally. This is not manipulation. It is masculine awareness. You are choosing timing over volume, direction over noise, and presence over performance. Master this and attraction stops feeling forced and starts feeling natural. For men seeking depth, this shift changes everything fast. With women you meet today confidently, write this in the comments to lock it in. I create playful tension. Stick with me, because this is just the beginning, and the next tease changes the dynamic completely. The second one is the calm confidence that drives her crazy. Let us be clear about what actually drives a woman crazy in a good way. It is not loud confidence. It is not flashy stories. It is not trying to prove you are the man. Calm confidence is the opposite of performance. It is the steady certainty that you are comfortable with yourself, whether she approves or not, and that comfort creates attraction fast. Most men think confidence is something you show. In reality, confidence is something she feels when she is around you. It shows up in your pacing, your tone, and your willingness to let moments unfold without forcing them. When a man is calm inside, he stops chasing reactions, and the moment he stops chasing her, curiosity turns on. Here is the core difference. Nervous confidence seeks validation. Calm confidence expects nothing. That expectation, or lack of it, is what flips the switch. When you are relaxed, she senses that you are not trying to win her. You are simply present. That presence feels rare in a world full of men trying too hard. Stoicism explains this better than any dating advice ever could. Seneca wrote that a man should be content with himself and not depend on external praise. When you internalize that, your energy changes. You do not rush your words. You do not fill silence out of fear. You allow eye contact to linger without needing to speak. Those small behaviors tell her your nervous system is settled. A settled man feels safe and exciting at the same time. Calm confidence also shows in how you respond to uncertainty. Plans shift, she tests, silence appears. A reactive man scrambles to fix it. A calm man stays grounded. He does not ask for reassurance. He does not explain himself into exhaustion. He lets things breathe. That breathing room creates tension, and tension feeds desire. Another mistake men make is confusing calm with boredom. Calm confidence is not passive. It is alert, attentive, and alive. You listen fully. You notice details. You respond thoughtfully. You just do not rush. Epictetus wrote that haste is the enemy of wisdom. In attraction, haste is the enemy of desire. When you slow down, she speeds up emotionally. This kind of confidence also shows up in boundaries. You do not agree with everything just to be liked. You do not apologize for preferences that are reasonable. You say what you want plainly and let it land. When you are calm about your standards, she feels the strength behind them. Strength without tension is deeply attractive. Calm confidence tells her something important about the future. It tells her you will not collapse under pressure. You will not become needy when emotions rise. You will not turn small moments into drama. That reliability allows her to relax. And relaxation is where her desire opens. Epictetus taught that freedom begins with control over your own reactions. A man who controls his reactions controls the frame. He does not need to dominate. He simply stays centered. When you stay centered, she begins to orbit. Not because you pulled her, but because your gravity is stable. If you want to practice this today, do less and mean more. Speak slower. Decide without overthinking. Allow silence. Let your breath drop into your chest. Notice when you want to impress and choose stillness instead. Calm confidence is built through repetition, not tricks. This is why calm confidence drives her crazy. It removes pressure. It creates space. It invites her emotions to move toward you on their own. You are not pushing. You are allowing. And allowing is far more powerful than chasing. Write this in the comments to lock it in. I stay centered. Stay with me because next we break down the playful challenge she secretly loves. The third one is the playful challenge she secretly loves. Let us be honest about something men often get wrong. A playful challenge is not arguing with her. It is not trying to win. It is not pushing her buttons to feel powerful. The challenge she secretly loves is light, grounded, and confident. It shows her you are not intimidated by her, and at the same time you respect her. That combination wakes up attraction fast. Let me bring this to life. There is a man named Kevin, 54, living in Chicago. Calm demeanor, dry sense of humor, nothing flashy. He meets Amanda, 49, confident, witty, and used to men either chasing her approval or staying overly polite. On their first date, Amanda mentions she is very competitive and usually gets her way. Kevin smiles and says, "That sounds like what someone says right before they lose." He says it gently, then goes quiet. Amanda laughs, raises an eyebrow, and leans forward. That moment matters. Why does that work? Because Kevin did not challenge her value. He challenged the frame. He did not insult her. He invited play. A playful challenge creates polarity without hostility. It says, "I see you, and I am not trying to please you at my own expense." Most men avoid this because they fear losing her interest. In reality, avoiding challenge is what flattens attraction. When everything is agreeable, there is no movement. Desire needs movement. A playful challenge introduces tension that feels safe, not threatening. Later in the date, Amanda teases Kevin about his calm nature, saying he seems too relaxed. Kevin replies, "Careful. Calm usually means I am choosing my battles." Then he smiles and changes the subject. Amanda feels a spark of curiosity. She wants to know more. That curiosity is the door opening. This is not about clever lines. It is about tone, timing, and restraint. Kevin did not explain himself. He did not justify. He let the comment land and trusted the moment. That trust signals confidence. Confidence makes teasing feel masculine instead of needy. A playful challenge works because it shifts the dynamic. Instead of her evaluating you, the interaction becomes mutual. You are no longer auditioning. You are engaging. That shift is deeply attractive to women, especially at this stage of life, where they are tired of predictable men. Stoicism fits naturally here. Marcus Aurelius reminded us not to be ruled by the opinions of others. When you are not afraid of her reaction, you can tease lightly without tension. You are anchored. That anchor allows play to exist without chaos. Kevin notices that after a few moments like this, Amanda begins teasing him back. Her energy becomes warmer and more invested. That is the goal. Teasing is not about winning points. It is about creating a rhythm where both of you are engaged. When she starts playing back, attraction is already building. Here is the rule. Challenge her behavior, not her worth. Tease patterns, not insecurities. Keep it light. Keep it brief. And always leave space after you speak. Silence is part of the tease. It gives her room to respond emotionally. Many men think teasing is risky. It is only risky when it comes from insecurity. When it comes from calm confidence, it feels safe and exciting at the same time. That balance is what she secretly loves. If this resonates, write this in the comments to lock it in. I lead playfully. Stick with me, because next we are talking about the silence that makes her want you more. The fourth one is the silence that makes her want you more. Let us be honest about silence, because most men are terrified of it. They think silence means boredom, rejection, or loss of control. So they rush to fill it with words, jokes, explanations, or reassurance. But the silence that makes her want you more is the opposite. It is calm, intentional, and grounded. It tells her you are comfortable with yourself, and that comfort creates desire. Silence works because it creates space, and space is where her imagination wakes up. When you stop talking just to keep momentum, her mind starts moving. She begins wondering what you are thinking, how you feel, and what might happen next. That wondering is not anxiety. It is curiosity. Curiosity is the gateway to attraction. Most men talk too much because they are trying to manage her reaction. They want to keep things smooth. They want to avoid awkward moments. But when you remove every pause, you remove tension. And without tension, desire has nothing to grip onto. Silence reintroduces that grip in a subtle, mature way. Stoicism explains this clearly. Epictetus taught that strength comes from restraint, not excess. A man who does not feel the need to fill every moment shows self-command. When you restrain your words, you show that you are not ruled by nervous energy or approval-seeking. That restraint reads as confidence, and confidence is deeply attractive. Silence also communicates boundaries. When you do not rush to respond, you signal that your attention is valuable. You are present, but not chasing. You are engaged, but not performing. This balance makes her lean toward you emotionally. She feels invited to step into the space instead of being overwhelmed by your effort. There is another layer here that men often miss. Silence gives her room to invest. When you pause, she speaks. When you slow down, she fills the gap. That investment matters. Desire grows when she participates emotionally, not when she is constantly entertained. Silence turns the interaction from a monologue into a shared experience. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a man should be content to let things unfold according to nature. Silence allows unfolding. You do not force outcomes, you allow moments to land. When you are comfortable letting a moment breathe, she feels that you are not afraid of where it might go. That fearlessness is attractive. This does not mean being cold or withdrawn. The silence that works is warm and present. Eye contact stays steady. Your posture stays open. Your breath stays slow. You are not checking out. You are holding the moment. That kind of silence feels safe, not punishing. It feels intentional, not passive-aggressive. Many men confuse silence with ignoring. Ignoring creates distance. Intentional silence creates tension. The difference is your internal state. If you are calm, she feels calm curiosity. If you are anxious, she feels pressure. Silence amplifies whatever state you are in. That is why inner control matters. If you want to master this, start by noticing when you speak out of habit instead of purpose. Pause 1 second longer before responding. Let her finish fully before you answer. Allow moments to settle instead of rushing forward. These small shifts create a powerful change in how she experiences you. If this hit home, write this in the comments: I stay composed. Stay with me because the next shift changes how she responds to your attention entirely. The fifth one is the attention shift that hooks her emotions. Let us talk about attention because this is where most men accidentally lose control of the emotional dynamic. Constant attention feels safe to you, but it feels flat to her. Scarce attention feels cold. The attention shift that hooks her emotions lives in the middle. It is when you are fully present, then calmly unavailable again. That shift wakes her up emotionally and makes her invest. Here is a real situation to make this concrete. There is a man named Paul, 57, living in Northern California. Calm, intelligent, emotionally steady. He meets a woman named Diane, 52, confident, social, and used to being the center of attention. On their first few interactions, Paul listens well, asks thoughtful questions, and gives Diane his full focus when they talk. No phone checking, no distraction. Diane feels seen. That part matters, but here is where Paul does something different from most men. When the conversation ends, he does not linger emotionally. He does not keep texting to extend the feeling. He goes back to his life. Hours pass, sometimes a full day. Diane notices the absence, not as rejection, but as contrast. Her mind goes back to the moment when she had his full attention. That contrast hooks her emotions. Most men think attraction grows from constant contact. In reality, attraction grows from contrast between connection and space. When your attention is always available, it loses weight. When it appears, disappears, and returns with intention, it gains value. Value creates emotional pull. Paul applies this again on a date. During dinner, he is engaged, relaxed, and warm. He laughs, listens, and stays present. After dinner, when Diane hints at extending the night, Paul smiles and says he has an early morning. He leaves without apology or explanation. Diane is surprised. She wanted more. And because she wanted more, she thinks about him later that night. The attention shift did the work. This is not manipulation. It is emotional pacing. You are not withdrawing to punish. You are simply not overextending. Women respond to men who can connect deeply without clinging. That balance signals emotional maturity, and maturity is attractive. Stoicism supports this completely. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you should not give your mind to what does not belong to you. Your attention is one of your most valuable resources. When you give it freely and endlessly, it loses meaning. When you give it intentionally, it creates impact. Diane feels this impact in her body. She begins to initiate more. She sends messages first. She asks when she will see Paul again, not because he chased her, but because his attention felt earned, not guaranteed. Emotional investment always grows on her side when you stop over-investing on yours. The attention shift also protects your frame. You do not rearrange your life to maintain momentum. You allow connection to breathe. When she senses that your world does not revolve around her, she relaxes into desire. She does not feel pressure to manage your feelings. She feels free to want you. Here is the rule to remember. Be fully present when you are present, then fully gone when you are gone. No half attention, no lingering, no anxious checking. That clarity keeps emotions clean and attraction alive. Paul did not use lines. He used timing. He respected his life and invited Diane into it without losing himself. That is why the attention shift works. It turns attention into something felt, not demanded. If this resonates, write this in the comments. I value my attention. Stay with me because next we are talking about the slow tension that opens her desire even deeper. The sixth one is the slow tension that opens her desire. Let us talk about slow tension because this is where desire actually opens instead of burns out. Most men rush. They escalate too fast, explain too much, and try to arrive before the moment is ready. Slow tension is the opposite. It is the discipline of not grabbing what is already leaning toward you. And that discipline is deeply attractive. Slow tension works because desire grows in anticipation, not in outcome. When you slow down, you allow her emotions to catch up with her body. When you rush, you short-circuit that process. She may respond politely, but internally something closes. Slow tension keeps things alive under the surface. This is not about withholding to manipulate. It is about pacing yourself, so attraction has time to mature. A man who understands pacing does not need to force chemistry. He allows it to unfold. And when it unfolds naturally, it feels safer, deeper, and far more intoxicating to her. Stoicism speaks directly to this idea. Seneca wrote that nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. When you respect timing, you show inner strength. A man who can wait without anxiety shows mastery over himself. That mastery reads as confidence, and confidence fuels desire. Slow tension shows up in simple behaviors. You do not rush into intimacy just because the moment feels warm. You hold eye contact a second longer without touching. You let silence sit after a charged remark. You leave a conversation slightly unfinished instead of wrapping it neatly. Each of these moments plants a question in her mind. Questions keep her engaged emotionally. Many men believe escalation proves masculinity. In reality, restraint proves control. Control tells her you are not ruled by impulse. A man who is not ruled by impulse feels safe enough for her to want more. Safety is not boring when it is paired with tension. It is magnetic. Here is where most men sabotage themselves. They sense attraction and immediately try to lock it down. They seek reassurance. They accelerate plans. They push for clarity. In doing so, they drain the tension that was building naturally. Slow tension requires tolerating uncertainty, and tolerance for uncertainty is a masculine trait. Epictetus taught that freedom comes from governing your desires instead of being governed by them. When you can feel desire without acting on it immediately, you create space. That space allows her desire to grow alongside yours instead of being overwhelmed by it. Slow tension also communicates value. When you are not in a hurry, she senses you are not starving for connection. You enjoy it, but you are not dependent on it. That independence shifts the emotional balance. She begins leaning in because you are not leaning forward too fast. Let us be clear. Slow tension is not passive. It is intentional. You are still leading. You are still present. You are simply letting moments ripen. Like good whiskey, desire needs time. When you rush the process, you lose depth. If you want to practice this, start by noticing your impulses. When you feel the urge to fill silence, pause. When you feel the urge to escalate, slow down. When you feel excitement, stay grounded. These small choices build powerful tension over time. This is why slow tension opens her desire. It allows her emotions to rise naturally instead of being pushed. It creates safety without killing excitement. It lets attraction breathe. Write this in the comments to lock it in. I trust the pace. Stay with me because the next shift reveals the tease that feels dangerous but safe at the same time. The seventh one is the masculine tease that feels dangerous but safe. Let us clear something up right now. The tease that feels dangerous but safe is not about being rude, unpredictable, or emotionally unavailable. It is about strength with restraint. It is the feeling that you are a man who could walk away, who could say no, who could hold firm, but chooses to stay present. That edge creates excitement. The safety keeps her open. Here is how this looks in real life. There is a man named Thomas, 58, living in San Diego, grounded, physically fit, emotionally calm. He meets a woman named Lauren, 51, confident, expressive, and used to being desired. On their third date, Lauren jokingly says, "I bet you tell all women the same things." Most men rush to reassure. Thomas smiles and replies, "If that were true, you would not be sitting here this relaxed." Then he pauses. No explanation. Lauren laughs, but her eyes stay on him longer than before. That pause carries weight. Why does that work? Because Thomas did not defend himself. He did not chase approval. He held his frame calmly. That is the dangerous part. He is not bending. The safe part is his tone, warm, steady, unthreatening. Her nervous system reads both at once. That dual signal creates tension without fear. Later that evening, Lauren tests him again by teasing his schedule, saying he seems busy for a man his age. Thomas replies, "Busy is a choice. I make good ones." He says it lightly, then changes the subject. Lauren feels something shift. She is intrigued. He did not try to impress. He did not apologize. He simply stood in himself. Most men fail here because they think being safe means being soft. In reality, safety comes from consistency and boundaries, not submission. A man who never pushes back feels predictable. Predictability kills desire. The masculine tease reintroduces unpredictability without chaos. Thomas shows this again when Lauren hints at seeing him every weekend. He says, "I enjoy you, but I like space too. It keeps things sharp." He says it calmly without withdrawal. Lauren feels respected and challenged at the same time. Her attraction deepens because she senses that closeness with him is chosen, not automatic. This tease works because it communicates three things at once. You have standards. You are emotionally regulated. You are not dependent on her reaction. That combination is rare, especially among men who try too hard to be agreeable. From a Stoic perspective, this is self-mastery in action. A man who governs his impulses does not need to dominate situations. He allows tension without losing control. When you can hold tension calmly, she feels safe exploring desire around you. Lauren begins leaning into Thomas more. She initiates touch. She asks more personal questions, not because he chased her, but because his edge gave her something to respond to. Desire needs something to press against. The masculine tease provides that surface. Here is the rule to remember. The tease should never attack her worth. It should highlight your standards and your independence. Delivered with calm warmth, it feels exciting, not threatening. That is the balance she secretly craves. If this resonates, write this in the comments. I hold my edge. Stay with me, because next we break down the emotional push that pulls her closer without force. The eighth one is the emotional push that pulls her closer. Let us talk about the emotional push, because this is where teasing turns from playful into deeply magnetic. The emotional push is not rejection, and it is not withdrawal. It is a subtle moment where you stop leaning in emotionally and allow her to move toward you on her own. That pause creates movement inside her. Movement creates desire. Most men think attraction grows when they constantly reassure, explain, and stay emotionally available. In reality, that kills momentum. When everything is open, nothing is felt. The emotional push works because it introduces contrast. You show interest, then you pull back just enough to let her emotions respond. That response is what bonds her. This is not manipulation. It is emotional leadership. You are guiding the rhythm instead of drowning it in consistency. Women do not fall for men who are predictable in their emotions. They fall for men who are steady, but not static. Stoicism gives us a clean framework for this. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a man should not be dependent on the moods or reactions of others. When you are not dependent on her emotional response, you stop clinging. And when you stop clinging, she feels space to step forward. The emotional push often shows up after connection. You share a good moment, a laugh, a meaningful exchange. Instead of locking it down with reassurance or future talk, you let it end cleanly. You do not rush to label it. You do not chase the feeling. You trust it. That trust communicates strength. Many men panic right here. They feel chemistry and immediately try to secure it. They want confirmation. They want clarity. They want to know where they stand. That urgency pushes her back. The emotional push does the opposite. It removes pressure and replaces it with curiosity. When you allow her to feel the gap, her emotions begin working for you. She replays the moment. She wonders what you are thinking. She checks in with her own desire. That internal movement is far more powerful than anything you could say. Epictetus taught that no man is free who cannot command himself. Emotional pushing requires self-command. You must tolerate not knowing. You must resist the urge to fill silence. You must stay grounded when emotions rise. That discipline reads as confidence. The emotional push also preserves polarity. You remain centered while allowing her emotions to fluctuate. You do not mirror her every shift. You stay stable. That stability gives her permission to feel more. Desire deepens when she feels free to move emotionally without managing you. This push is subtle. It is not ignoring messages or playing games. It is responding without urgency. It is ending moments on a high note instead of squeezing them dry. It is letting connection breathe. When done right, the emotional push does not create insecurity. It creates anticipation. Anticipation is the engine of attraction. Seneca wrote that it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. When you waste emotional energy on reassurance, you drain attraction. When you conserve it with intention, desire stays alive. Here is the mindset to hold. You are not trying to pull her closer. You are creating a space she chooses to step into. Choice is what makes attraction feel real to her. When she moves toward you emotionally, it feels earned, not forced. Master this and teasing becomes effortless. You are no longer chasing reactions. You are guiding emotional flow. That is what pulls her closer. Write this in the comments to lock it in. I allow space. Stay with me because next we reveal the tease that lives in her mind long after you leave. The 9th one is the tease that lives in her mind at night. Let us be real. The tease that stays with her at night is never loud and never obvious. It is subtle. It is unfinished. It is the moment you did not fully explain, the look you held a second longer, the sentence you ended early. What lingers in her mind is not what you did. It is what you allowed her to imagine. Here is a real example. Andrew is 56, living in Boston, calm, thoughtful, and emotionally steady. He meets Claire, 51, confident, intuitive, and very aware of emotional cues. On a late afternoon date, the conversation turns personal. Claire shares something meaningful about her past. Andrew listens fully. When she finishes, he looks at her and says, "There is more there." Then he stops talking. He does not dig. He does not explain. He simply holds eye contact, smiles slightly, and changes the topic. Claire feels something shift, not pressure, but curiosity. That night when Claire is alone, her mind goes back to that moment. What did he see? What did he mean? Why did he not push? That is the tease. It respects her while inviting her imagination to finish the story. Most men think teasing means saying something clever. The tease that lives in her mind comes from restraint. It comes from knowing when to stop. When you leave something unresolved, her emotions keep working. Resolution ends attraction. Curiosity extends it. Andrew does this again when they part ways. Instead of a long goodbye, he says, "Tonight was interesting." Nothing more. No follow-up. No reassurance. Claire drives home replaying the word interesting. Was it about her? About the conversation? About what might come next? Her body responds to the uncertainty, not anxiety, but anticipation. Men often sabotage this by over-clarifying. They want to be understood. They want to lock in meaning. But attraction thrives in ambiguity. When everything is explained, nothing is felt. When something is left open, it breathes. Later, Claire sends a message saying she enjoyed the time together. Andrew replies warmly but briefly. He does not continue the conversation. He lets the moment stand. That space becomes the container for her thoughts later that night. She imagines the next time she will see him. That imagination is where desire deepens. This kind of tease works because it honors her intelligence. You are not feeding her lines. You are giving her a canvas. Women connect deeply to men who trust them to feel instead of trying to guide every reaction. Andrew never tries to be mysterious. He is simply complete in himself. That completeness allows him to stop when a moment peaks instead of draining it. Claire senses that he is comfortable leaving things open. That comfort feels masculine and secure. Here is the rule. End moments early, not late. Leave conversations on a high note. Say less when something matters. When you resist the urge to squeeze the moment, you let it echo. This tease lives in her mind because it invites her participation. She becomes emotionally involved without being pushed. Desire grows in the space between moments, not inside constant contact. If this resonates, write this in the comments. I leave space. Stay with me because the final part brings all of this together into a way of being that makes teasing effortless. The 10th and final one is the way of being that makes teasing effortless. Let us bring this together because effortless teasing is not something you do. It is something you become. When teasing feels forced, it backfires. When it flows naturally, it is simply a byproduct of how you move through the world. The way of being that makes teasing effortless is grounded masculinity. Calm, self-directed, and emotionally free. Here is the core truth. Teasing works when you are not trying to tease. It emerges when you are relaxed in yourself, clear in your values, and unattached to outcomes. A man who is chasing reactions cannot tease well. A man who is centered does it without thinking. His presence creates contrast automatically. This way of being starts with self-trust. You trust your timing. You trust your instincts. You trust that you do not need to perform to be desired. When you trust yourself, your words slow down. Your eye contact settles. Your silence becomes comfortable. Teasing slips into the interaction naturally because you are not managing it. Stoicism teaches this foundation clearly. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a man should stand firm in his character regardless of external approval. When you live that way, teasing becomes light and playful instead of strategic. You are not trying to gain leverage. You are simply expressing yourself without fear. Effortless teasing also comes from emotional independence. You enjoy connection, but you do not need it to feel whole. When a woman senses that your mood does not rise or fall based on her reactions, she relaxes. That relaxation creates space for play. Play is where teasing lives. This way of being shows up in how you handle uncertainty. You do not rush to define things. You do not panic when energy shifts. You allow emotions to move without trying to control them. That patience creates a slow burn that feels natural instead of engineered. Another key piece is self-respect. You have standards. You do not laugh at jokes that cross your values. You do not overextend to be liked. You are kind without being soft, firm without being harsh. That balance gives teasing an edge without cruelty. Seneca wrote that a man who is at peace with himself is never lonely. That peace is magnetic. When you are at peace, teasing becomes an expression of curiosity instead of a tool. You are not poking for validation. You are inviting connection. Effortless teasing also depends on living a full life. You have purpose beyond dating. You have routines, discipline, and direction. When your life has weight, your words carry weight. A light tease from a grounded man lands differently than the same words from someone seeking approval. This way of being removes pressure from both of you. You stop trying to create moments. Moments happen. You stop trying to impress. She notices you. You stop chasing tension. Tension forms on its own. Women respond to men who are comfortable with themselves. Comfortable men are playful. Playful men tease naturally. There is no script here. There is only alignment. When you live this way, teasing is no longer something you think about. It is simply how you interact. Calm, present, slightly unpredictable, always grounded. That is the man teasing flows from. We broke down what teasing really is. Not lines, not tricks, but a way of showing calm confidence, emotional control, and masculine presence. When teasing comes from who you are, not what you say, attraction stops feeling forced and starts happening naturally. If this video helped you see things more clearly, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you do not miss what is coming next. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.